The San Francisco 49ers are one of the most innovative teams across the entire NFL. When you look at their offense, often you're just left in awe because Kyle Shanahan can frankly draw up some stuff that makes defenses look silly, and good defenses at that. But in today's video, I want to take a step back and not focus on the offensive genius, but more so their defensive genius and how they transferred the linebacking position from one that focused basically on stopping the run to one that fits the modern NFL offense much better, starting with Kyle Shanahan's draft choice of Fred Warner in his second year. Growing up, linebackers were absolutely massive. They played a much more substantial role in the game because of how much teams used to run it. But even more, being this big helped them crush receivers coming over the middle. But as rules changed, hitting receivers became less and less acceptable, drawing 15-yard penalties. And these bigger bodies, frankly, couldn't keep up to faster and more athletic receivers coming out each year. And this is where we need to take a step back and look at the people Kyle Shanahan surrounds himself with. When he came over to San Francisco, he had Robert Saleh, and then Johnny Hollins came on, and then later DeMeco Ryans. All of these people focus on the linebacker position. They're specialists, you could say. And them noticing this trend of linebackers, frankly, not being as effective as they used to be, they realized they need to address this by no longer looking inside the box, looking at only linebackers, but rather looking outside to potential DBs to fill this glaring weakness. With the San Francisco 49ers brain trust sold, they needed an athletic linebacker, not to just keep up in the modern NFL, but excel. They took a flyer on Fred Warner in the third round with pick 6. His height was 6'3". He weighed 236 pounds. His arm length was 32 inches. He ran his 40-yard dash in an impressive 4.64 seconds. But more importantly, in my opinion, that I like to look at is his 10-yard split, which is 1.53 seconds. This is a measure of their first 10-yard burst. This gives you an idea of their acceleration, which was much more important on the football field in my opinion, because this measures how quickly they'll be able to break on a ball, as well as stop an opposing team that's trying to run a sweep on them or something like that. It's rare you see a linebacker ever running 40 yards straight. So now that we understand Fred Warner's athletic profile, let's do a review of his football career up to this point so we can see how he's kind of different than most linebackers, especially interior middle linebackers. He started his football career at Mission Hills High School in San Diego. Warner was named All San Diego Section Defensive Player of the Year as a senior as an outside linebacker. He was also named All California First Team by USA Today, Cal High Sports All-State First Team, and earned title of Avocado East League Defensive Player of the Year. So you could say Warner was fantastic throughout his time in high school. He was labeled as a 4-star recruit from 24/7 Sports and received offers from USC, Washington, California, and BYU. Ultimately, Fred Warner chose to sign at BYU. And while Fred Warner was labeled as a linebacker at BYU, I would argue his position was much more like a defensive back / linebacker combo. You would see him sometimes on wide receivers and great tight ends. And the thing is, he wouldn't get burned either. He would hold his weight routinely. Warner played at BYU from 2014 to 2017. And in 4 years at BYU, Warner was a 3-year starter and registered 264 total tackles, 32 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 7 interceptions, returning 2 for touchdowns, 5 fumble recoveries, 3 forced fumbles, 13 pass breakups. His 7 career interceptions rank second in school history among linebackers. So with Fred Warner's BYU career wrapped up, it was time for him to enter the NFL draft. And while we've already gone through his combine measurables, such as his 40-yard dash and 10-yard split, this was a time also for scouts to dive a little bit deeper and see what he actually did well and where he's going to fit on an NFL team. Warner's future success for a lot of scouts depended on where teams would put him. While a lot of teams saw him as an outside linebacker, they even considered moving him to safety. But most teams never thought about moving him more inside to the inside linebacker role. With his instincts and coverage skills in space, finding a hybrid role would be ideal according to most scouts. But I guess most scouts didn't work for the Niners because the Niners had visions of Warner being their inside linebacker. So if Fred Warner was such an athletic freak and great in coverage, why didn't he go earlier than the 3rd round? Well, the thing here is many teams didn't even know where he would play. Would he be a defensive back or an outside linebacker? And I'll tell you what, I don't think many teams outside San Francisco saw him as the inside linebacker that they would mold him into. Because, well, many teams thought Fred Warner wouldn't even be able to tackle consistently at the next level because of this hybrid position he played. But the Niners saw something completely different. They saw the modern linebacker that they wanted and needed to have an elite defense for years to come. You see, Fred Warner wasn't an outside linebacker. He was the perfect inside linebacker. He had the height, you could add a little bit of weight to him, and his speed and his burst was perfect through coverage. And spending most of his life in coverage is perfect for the modern NFL that relies much more on a passing offense than just running up the middle nonstop. So how has Fred Warner actually been able to fare so far in his NFL career? Well, it didn't take Fred Warner any time at all, despite being undersized according to scouts and not being able to play linebacker. Warner started all 16 games his rookie year and recorded 124 combined tackles, 85 solo tackles, 6 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble. Warner's 124 tackles finished 12th among all players and 3rd among all rookies in 2018. Impressive for someone the San Francisco 49ers picked up in the 3rd round and someone many people thought couldn't play linebacker at all. In the 2019 season, Fred Warner was once again one of the best players across the entire NFL and was ranked number 70 by his peers on the NFL Top 100 Players of 2020. And in the 2020 season, Warner did great once again and received his first ever honors as an All-Pro first team. Fred Warner went on to repeat this feat in 2022. Across his entire NFL career with the Niners, he's had 634 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, 6 fumble recoveries, 4 interceptions, 35 passes deflected, and 1 touchdown. So with the success of Fred Warner, this reaffirms the Niners' against the grain philosophy of taking linebackers that are more like defensive backs and developing them in their system. But why does this actually work for the Niners? The biggest thing is they have coaches that know what they're looking for, whether it be D'Amico Ryans, Robert Saleh, or Johnny Hollins. I mean, even their general manager is a former Hall of Fame safety. So all these guys have a general idea of what they need in their linebackers, especially in the modern NFL. And them being able to bring in guys that will be able to develop under a strength and conditioning program is often exactly what these guys need, because the modern NFL is no longer running up the middle 20 times a game, but now is cover a tight end or maybe even a slot receiver as an inside linebacker, which is why we see guys like Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and even possibly this year Marcelino McCurry-Ball have success within the San Francisco defense. Ultimately, these are my thoughts on why San Francisco has some of the best linebacking group in the NFL and a breakdown of Fred Warner. So if you guys did enjoy this video, it would mean a ton to me if you liked and subscribed. Thank you guys so much for watching.